Hello, my friends. Today I am making soup. So I'm in Michigan. It is getting very chilly here. Definitely some fall soup weather. And if you saw my video the other day where it was all things butternut squash, I talked about how to peel and actually cook the peel so that you could eat it, the seeds, how to cut it, how to roast it. I talked about making a soup. That's what this is going to be. So if that sounds good, stick around. My name is Christy with Help for Your Journey, where my goal is to encourage and inspire you in your Trim Healthy Mama lifestyle. So tonight, this is an e-meal, which means that we are keeping the fat low and we are being mindful of carbs. Honestly, I don't really count my carbs for an e-meal, but I try not to go crazy. Let's put it that way. So this recipe is called Butternut Squash Lentil Soup. And the lentils in this soup are red lentils. Now, you may not be as familiar with red lentils as with the green or brown variety, because that is, at least I find, that's the type of lentils that are used in a lot of recipes. The thing that's so great about red lentils is that they cook really fast. So this is only going to take I think it's like 20 minutes once we get all the liquid and everything going. So it doesn't really take a long time. So these are what red lentils look like. They're not really red. They're more like kind of peachy colored. And I got these from an Amish store. If you have an Amish or maybe like a Mennonite store near you that does like bulk, that is the way to go. You can find some great deals. And lentils are a very, very inexpensive source of protein. I don't plan on adding any meat to this. Like, the lentils are going to be the protein, and that is okay with me. So what I have in this pot right now is onions and celery that I have chopped up. And I'm gonna just let this go for a few minutes. Let's see, what else do I wanna talk about? Oh, one thing that I like to do when I have soup or chili or stew or anything kind of along those lines is I'm always kind of thinking to myself, what do I have that's green in this meal? And so what I will do is I will buy a bag of kale. Now, don't you find it super annoying when you buy a bag of kale and it tells you that it's washed and ready to go? You open up the bag and there are so many stem pieces in there that you still have to go through the entire bag to pull out these like tree trunks practically that are in there. I don't know. I think to myself, they shouldn't be able to do that. They should not be able to sell this by weight with all these stems. Anyway, nobody asked me my opinion. I don't make the rules. So what I will do is I'll take a whole bag of kale. I will dump it out on my counter, and I'll go through and I will just get all the leaves off, do it in one go so that I don't have to deal with it any other times, and I will put the kale in a bag. So what I'm going to do when this soup is done is I'm going to take a big handful of this kale, put it in my bowl, and then I'm going to put the soup on top of that. So not only am I getting some great nutrition, I'm getting in some leafy greens, but also it's helping me to fill up on less calories. Now, I don't count calories. We don't do that on Trim Healthy Mama, but we are aware of them. They're kind of on the back burner. So this is just a way that I can help to fill up my belly a little bit more without having more of the main dish. Does that make sense? So let's see, we talked about, so I know one other thing with the kale. What I did was, when I was all done separating the stems and the leaves, instead of throwing the stems away, I added them to my veggie scrap bag that I have in my freezer. So anytime that I'm cutting up veggies, whether to cook with, to make a salad with, whatever, I throw the scraps into the bag, a gallon-sized Ziploc bag in my freezer, and when that bag is full, I make veggie broth in my Instant Pot. So it's a way for me to get, basically I look at it as like free broth, because all of those scraps that are gonna make that broth, I would have thrown out. So I put those kale stems right in there. Sometimes you'll hear that stuff like Brussels sprouts or kale, I'm trying to think of another one. They say that you shouldn't really put the scraps in your veggie broth bag, but I've done it and I've heard it both ways, and I've done it and I've never had any problems. So, all right, I think that this is good. I am going to add some garlic. We like a lot of garlic, so I don't measure it. I just add it. I'm gonna add that garlic, let it cook just for a minute so that it's not raw tasting. Let me double check my recipe here. You know, I didn't put any oil or liquid at all in this pot. So many recipes will say that you need to put some type of oil in order to saute these veggies. No, you don't. If the veggies start to stick, add a little splash of vegetable broth or chicken broth or whatever you're using for your recipe, or just add a couple tablespoons of water and it'll do the trick. You don't need to use oil. I mean, I'm not afraid to use oil. You just don't need to. All right, so I am adding in, I've got some curry powder and some cumin here, and I'm adding that in, and I'm just gonna cook that for a minute. And then I'm adding the rest of my ingredients, and I'm gonna bring it to a simmer for 20 minutes. So, oh my gosh, apparently it's been a while since I've had anything with curry powder, because that smells amazing. Indian food is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. My husband has, one of his coworkers is from India, and his wife is an amazing cook, and sometimes she'll send some food home, and it's just like, it's so amazingly good. So we need 4 cups of vegetable broth. You could use chicken broth if you wanted to, I'm sure. I just happen to have vegetable broth, so that's what I'm going to use. We need some diced tomatoes. I actually have these petite diced tomatoes from Walmart. I actually am really liking these petite ones. I like tomatoes. I like diced tomatoes just fine. But there's something about the petite ones that I just really, I don't know, I just like the smaller bites of it for some reason. Gotta make sure you get all that out of there. We've got, this is my 3 cups of butternut squash that I set aside when I prepped my squash the other day. So I'm just gonna put this whole thing in. And I also need my red lentils. I'm gonna put those in. And let me just double check one thing. Okay, the recipe calls for a can of light or full fat coconut milk. This is an e-meal, and I don't want to use that. Even a light can of coconut milk is going to have more fat than I want it to have. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use some almond milk, and I'm going to put that in. And then, because coconut milk would have a bit of a coconut flavor, which goes along great with the curry spice, I have some coconut extract, and I am just going to, I don't know how much, not afraid, just gonna put some of that coconut extract in there to kind of get that coconutty flavor. So this is gonna be so good. I cannot wait to eat this. So I am just going to, oh, I smell the coconut extract that I just put in there. Okay, I'm gonna bring this to a light simmer. I'm gonna leave it uncovered for 20 minutes until the butternut squash and the lentils are tender. At that point, they want you to take a couple cups of the soup and put it in a blender to give it that creaminess. I'm actually not going to do that. Have you guys seen one of these, or do you have one? So this is an immersion blender, or some people will refer to it as a stick blender. So what you can do is the blades are just here on the bottom. You make sure that this is underneath the liquid and you just hit the button and it will just blend things. So once this is all done, I'm just gonna use this and I'm gonna just move this around until it seems creamy, but there's still kind of like the amount of chunks that I want there to be. And that's it. That's it, you guys. So I will come back when this is done and I will show you the final product. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, I am back. So I just wanted to let you know that the recipe didn't call for any salt and it definitely needed it. So I probably added about a teaspoon. I didn't measure it. And then when I tasted it again, it really needed more curry. I like a very strong curry flavor though, in my opinion. So I probably ended up doubling the amount of curry. And I probably will put a little bit of, oh my gosh, I totally forgot what that's called, sriracha. I probably will end up putting some sriracha on mine just to give it a little bit of a kick. So I got that immersion blender out and I just wanted to show you, like I've got I told you about my kale, and the heat of this soup will wilt that kale for me. This is gonna be so good, you guys. This is gonna be an amazing dinner. It's gonna be filling. There's gonna be leftovers for lunch tomorrow. It is going to be awesome. So one meal down that I am using my butternut squash for, and the next one is gonna be tomorrow when we do a really nice fall salad. So I appreciate you watching. If you found value in this video, if you could give it a like, I would really appreciate it. And even more so, if you would subscribe to my channel, that would help me out so much. It would let YouTube know that there are people out there that want to see more of this kind of content. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.